Whenever you're ready, Emma. Let's begin where it feels right. Introduce about you.
All right. I guess I should start with who I am, before everything fell apart. I'm Emma Le, 34 years old. I work as a senior accountant at a financial firm. Structured, organized, a little obsessive about balance sheets maybe. I've been married to Mark Nangyan for 10 years. He's 36, an architect. People say we looked solid. Like one of those couples who just make it. I believed that too. Until last Saturday.
What happened last Saturday?
It was the morning of my younger brother Daniel's wedding. Everything was supposed to be perfect. I was getting dressed, touching up my makeup, when my phone buzzed. No name, no contact info. Just a message, don't go to the wedding, check your backyard.
How did you react?
I thought it was a prank, or a stupid mistake, but the timing it was too precise. Mark had already left earlier that morning. He said he had a quick client meeting before the ceremony. Kissed me on the cheek, same as always, but something in me I don't know flinched.
So you went to the backyard.
I told myself I'd just glance around. Nothing serious. Maybe a neighbor dropped something, maybe a squirrel set off my paranoia. But the second I stepped outside I felt it. Something was off.
What did you find?
A red handbag, sitting half tucked under our garden bench. It wasn't mine. I opened it. And there it was, Victoria's wallet. Victoria, my brother's fiancée.
That must have been shocking.
I felt my lungs lock up. I kept telling myself there had to be a reason, an innocent one. But there wasn't. I knew they'd been meeting there. In my garden, in my home, behind my back. My husband, my brother's bride. The truth didn't slap me. It sat down across from me and stared.
What did you do next?
I stood there in the backyard, clutching Victoria's wallet like it might vanish if I blinked. I wanted to scream. But I couldn't even breathe properly. Part of me wanted to throw it all back into the bushes, walk back inside, smile and pretend I never saw a thing. Let the wedding happen. Let my brother be happy for one more day. But I knew it would be fake. All of it.
Did you confront Mark?
No, I didn't even call him. If I had, he'd have denied it. He's smart. Calm under pressure. He would have spun some story, maybe even gaslighted me into believing I was being paranoid. So instead, I took photos of everything. The bag, the contents, even the footprint in the dirt under the bench. Then I went back inside and locked the back door behind me like I was sealing a crime scene.
And Daniel, when did you decide to tell him?
That was the hardest part. I sat at the edge of my bed holding my phone for what felt like an hour. My hand hovered over his contact name, Danny. You know, growing up, he used to follow me around like a shadow. He trusted me with everything, and now I had to shatter his wedding day with a truth that would ruin him.
Did you consider waiting until after the ceremony?
Yes. God, yes. I imagined him smiling at the altar, dancing with Victoria, giving toasts with our parents, and I thought maybe I should just let him have that moment. One last dream. But then I remembered the look in Victoria's eyes whenever she was around Mark, that flicker of something I used to ignore. And I realized if I stayed silent, I'd be protecting a lie. He'd be starting his marriage in the middle of a betrayal. That wasn't love. That was cruelty dressed in white.
So you called him?
I asked to meet him. Just a few minutes. He sounded confused. He was already at the venue, getting dressed. I could hear people laughing in the background, champagne glasses clinking. I said, "It's about Victoria." He went quiet. Then he said, "Half an hour." Behind the venue.
How did that conversation go?
I didn't say much. I just handed him the envelope. Photos, screenshots, a copy of the message I got. He opened it like it was a letter from another world. His face, it changed with every page. First confusion, then disbelief, then this hollow look. Like his chest had caved in.
And you?
I just stood there watching my brother's future fall apart in his hands. I wanted to hold him. I wanted to take it back. But I knew I was doing the right thing, even if it broke him.
What did he say?
Nothing, for a long time. Then he looked at me and whispered, "Thank you." And that's when I broke. Not from guilt. But because he saw it. He understood that I wasn't trying to destroy his life. I was trying to save it.
What happened after Daniel read the truth?
He just stood there for a moment, holding those photos like they were radioactive. His hands started shaking. Then he looked at me with this hollow expression and said, "There won't be a wedding."
Did he go back inside right away?
Yeah. He straightened his tie, wiped his eyes, and walked into that venue like a man marching into a war he didn't ask for. I followed him, maybe 10 steps behind. Everything was still beautiful. Flowers blooming, violin playing. Guests were laughing, sipping champagne, taking selfies by the arch, and then silence.
He made the announcement.
He walked right up to Victoria. She was standing under the arch, radiant in white, adjusting her veil. When she saw him, she smiled and said, "There you are, Danny, everyone's waiting." And he looked her straight in the eye and said, "There's not going to be a wedding."
Just like that.
Just like that. The entire room froze. You could hear the air leave people's lungs. Victoria blinked, laughed nervously like it was some kind of joke. But he didn't smile. He said, "I know. About you. And Mark. I've seen the pictures. I've read your messages."
How did she react?
Of course. She snapped. "It was you, wasn't it, Emma? You've always hated me. You couldn't stand me being part of your precious family." I stayed calm. I said, "I don't hate you, Victoria. I just love my brother more than I fear your tantrum."
She knew it was you.
Oh, he wasn't there yet. But the moment Victoria realized no one was coming to her defense, she panicked, tried to twist the story. Called Daniel paranoid. That's when he pulled out the envelope and tossed it onto the table in front of their wedding planner. He said, "If anyone wants to see what betrayal looks like, go ahead." Then he turned away. Victoria screamed his name, followed him down the aisle, crying and yelling.
And Mark?
No one knew what to do. It was chaos, but quiet chaos. You know that kind of heartbreak that's too sharp for screaming? That's what it was like. Until the doors burst open and he walked in.
Did anyone try to stop her?
Mark. Late, as always. He saw the room, saw Victoria crying, saw Daniel storming off, and then saw me. His face just fell.
Mark!
He came toward me, slow, cautious, like he was approaching a fire. "Emma, what's going on?" I looked him straight in the eyes and said, "He knows. Daniel knows. About you and her." Mark froze. It was the first time I'd ever seen him completely speechless. Then he looked at Victoria, then back at me, and whispered, "You told him?"
Did he say anything?
I said no. The truth told him. I just made sure he saw it.
What did you say?
He got angry. His voice dropped, low and bitter. "You've ruined everything." And I said, "No, Mark. You did that. I just stopped pretending."
How did he respond?
He stormed out, like a coward. Victoria ran after him, tripping on her dress. I swear, it was like a scene from a ruined opera. And Daniel, he just sat down on one of the chairs in his tux, head in his hands. And I sat beside him, said nothing, just placed a hand on his back and let him fall apart.
Then what?
It was. But it was also honest. There's a strange kind of peace in honesty, even if it comes wrapped in devastation.
That moment, it must have been incredibly painful.
Silence. You'd think there'd be drama, fighting, screaming, confrontation. But no. After Victoria ran out and Mark vanished, it was like someone had pulled the plug on reality. People just left, quietly, like mourners at a funeral no one prepared for.
What happened after the wedding was called off?
I stayed with Daniel that evening. We didn't talk much. We just sat on the couch, side by side. He didn't cry. He just kept staring at the wall like if he blinked, everything would collapse again. Eventually he said, "Thanks, Em, you saved me."
And you?
Not that night. He showed up the next day, just long enough to pack a duffel bag. I didn't say a word to me until he stood at the door, duffel on his shoulder. "You think this makes you some kind of hero?" he asked. I looked him in the eye and said, "No. I think it makes me free." He slammed the door. And that was it.
Did Mark come home?
Not then, just bitterness. He was angry I exposed him. But he wasn't sorry, not for me. Not for Daniel. A week later, I filed for divorce.
No attempt to apologize. To explain?
It felt surreal. 10 years of marriage gone with a signature. We didn't have kids, no prenup. The process was quicker than I thought it would be. But emotionally, it dragged. Every room in that apartment felt like a ghost of the life I thought we had. I started sleeping on the couch just to avoid our bed.
That's a major step.
Daniel, mostly. He was broken, too, but we leaned on each other. He picked up his camera again, something he'd abandoned in college. Started photographing old streets, strangers, light on glass. And I started walking more. Long walks with no destination. I'd end up in bookstores, parks, train stations. I needed to feel the world moving.
Did you have support?
Yes. It was late one evening. I was sorting through some boxes in the apartment, preparing to move out when my phone rang. Unknown number.
And the text message, the one that warned you. Did you ever find out who sent it?
I almost didn't. But something made me pick up. The voice said, "Emma, it's Andrew." I worked with Mark at the firm. And suddenly I remembered quiet guy, polite, always faded into the background.
Did you answer?
To tell me the truth, he said. I was the one who sent you that message. He sounded nervous. Like he'd been carrying that secret on his back. He said Victoria had tried to manipulate him too. Before Mark. Tried to use him for leverage, maybe for a promotion, maybe just for fun. He saw what she and Mark were doing and couldn't live with himself if Daniel got trapped in it.
What did he want?
He was afraid. No one believed him when he tried to speak up before. He thought if he signed his name, I'd ignore him, or worse, Mark would retaliate. So he sent the message and hoped I'd follow my instinct.
Why anonymously?
Relieved. Validated. Like I wasn't crazy, like my gut had been right all along, and someone out there cared enough to whisper truth through a locked door. I told him, you saved us. You saved my brother. And he said, some truths are worth fighting for, even from the shadows.
How did that make you feel?
Something subtle, but big. I sat there for a long time, holding the phone, staring at nothing. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel alone in what I'd been through. There had been someone out there, watching from the quiet edges, caring enough to act. It reminded me pain isolates, but truth connects.
And after that call with Andrew, what changed for you?
Yes, the next day I called a real estate agent. Sold my half of the apartment. It wasn't just a home anymore, it was a graveyard of memories I no longer needed to visit. I moved into a small place near the park. 1 bedroom, old windows, creaky floors. But it was mine, a clean page.
Did that help you move forward?
At first, yes. But everything about my job felt like autopilot, like I was moving through someone else's life. So I quit, took a leap and joined a smaller firm, more creative, more chaotic, more alive. It didn't pay as well, but it felt honest. And I needed honest more than I needed stable.
Did you keep working?
Once, I was walking home from the grocery store, turned a corner and there he was. He looked older, thinner, his eyes found mine and dropped, like he didn't want to be seen. But I stopped.
What about Mark? Did you ever speak again?
I said, Mark. He looked up slowly. Emma, I'd been meaning to say something. I'm sorry. For everything. I let the silence sit there, not to punish him, just to feel its truth. Then I said, I forgive you.
What did you say?
I didn't do it for him. I did it for me. Forgiveness in that moment wasn't about freeing him. It was about unchaining myself. I didn't want to hate anymore. Didn't want to carry his sin in my hands like it was mine.
That's a powerful thing to say.
He nodded. Almost like he didn't expect it. I hope you find happiness, Emma, he said. And I said, I will. Then I walked away, and I didn't look back.
And how did he react?
It took pain first, but yes, strength came after.
That takes strength.
Now I breathe easier. Daniel is doing better. He's traveling, taking photos again. Sometimes he sends me postcards even though we live in the same city. We've started a new ritual, Saturday hikes, just the two of us. We talk, we laugh, we heal. One time we stood on a cliff and he said, you look lighter. And I said, I am.
And now?
Sometimes, but not with fire, not anymore. They're chapters I've closed, lessons I've underlined. I don't carry them, I carry the wisdom they left behind.
Do you still think about them? Mark and Victoria?
I don't know. And for once that feels okay. I've started writing again. I joined a book club. I signed up for a weekend art class even though I can't draw a straight line. Last week I said yes to a coffee date. Just coffee, but the point is I said yes.
What's next for you?
I have. And I'm not done yet. But last night, for the first time in months, I whispered to the dark, I made it. And the silence didn't echo back pain. It echoed peace.
Emma, you've come so far.